Welcome to Nonsense Season 4, Episode 7, our big story and our second show of the week. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
This time we're looking at Beyond the Chatbot, why 2026 is the year AI finally stopped talking and started doing. Up next.
Wait, like doing what?
Well, like I have AI put events in my calendar. That's pretty simple.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to do things like call Casa Vega, find what the wait time is for a table of 4. I want to have some Mexican food. And mostly it doesn't do it. Mostly it says, yeah, I don't really do that.
You should first ask it, where can I go for good Mexican food? Start with that. Because when you go to Casa Vega.
I would hate to rely on an AI's version of what good Mexican food is.
We should do a segment on this show where once a week we ask the AI where to go for lunch and just go wherever it says and see what happens.
Sounds awful.
We're having like lunch at Bob and L's transmission shop. Like, try the synchros. They're delicious. You're like, wait, what? I don't think that's...
I had synchros for breakfast.
I had synchros for breakfast. They stay crunchy in milk.
Okay, how AI quietly moved from your screen to your bank account. Let's go.
And then the AI just gets sullen and it's like, I this is it? This is all you got? Really?
You've disappointed the AI.
I was just in Sam Altman's account. He had a lot more commas than you. What's going on in here?
I'm going to go back to your screen if you don't mind.
I'll show myself out. That's what the AI says.
In 2026, the tech world moved beyond generative AI, the chatbot era, into the concierge-style agentic era, where AI has transitioned from a poet to a practitioner. While 2024 was about talking, 2026 is about doing. We've moved past the Clippy stage, where AI suggests a better word for an email, and have now reached agentic parity, where the AI doesn't just do a single task, it's capable of an actual chain of thought.
Did you just refer to Clippy as a poet? You might want to rethink this copy.
Of course, lines have been drawn between those embracing the action economy and those protecting legacy moats. Microsoft and Salesforce have gone all in, pivoting their entire stacks around agentic workflows that allow AI to book travel, manage supply chains, and close sales without human handholding. MasterCard has even launched an agent suite, essentially giving AI its own credit card to execute autonomous transactions. However, a human firewall has emerged. Meta and TikTok are resisting, deploying advanced bot blocking to prevent agents from bypassing their ad-heavy interfaces. In healthcare and finance, giant legacy players like United Health and JP Morgan are moving slower, citing compliance paralysis and the legal nightmare of an autonomous agent making $1 million error. The shift is fundamental. Autonomy over assistance. In 2026, the competitive edge belongs to those who stop treating AI as an encyclopedia and start treating it as a coworker.
But both are heavy and old, so it's okay.
Can we break this conversation into 3 little chunks?
Okay.
The technology of action, how this whole thing works, what it is, why it's different than generative AI. Yeah, exactly.
Magic.
The economic tug-of-war, who benefits where, who doesn't benefit, why people want you to be able to use agentic AI to do things, and why others are vehemently digging their heels in.
Oh, I thought it was an OnlyFans page.
Why would it be an OnlyFans page?
Economic Tug-of-War? I'll let the listeners write in.
Okay.
They know.
And the new human operating model, which is humans as project leads, as opposed to people just looking things up using generative AI.
Sure.
Or having funny pictures made.
The other way to think about that is like, okay, what can humans do that the AI can't, because you're running out of things to do if you don't approach it that way?
Or your output is just being slowed tremendously because you're not tasking out things.
Yeah. Do the things that the technology does well with the technology.
All right, let's start with the technology of action. Things that generative AI did well. We still need large language models. The whole thing is based on large language models. You can't get away from that.
Well, world models are coming, but yes, right now that's what you got.
Yeah. I mean, we're not that far along in agentic AI.
We just started.
No, but it's frustrating that I can't have it make a lot of calls and do things for me.
Would you rather do this show next month when it can do all those things, or the month after when it's taken over the world? When exactly would you like to do it? Because it's all coming.
I'm fine either way. I just want it to be able to find my luggage.
You are ridiculous. It can do all of these things, and you're like, I just wish it could do a little more. It can make videos of Smurfs driving in cars. Like, what? I don't understand.
I want this thing to be able to make phone calls and be on hold for me, and especially complex things like when I have to call 19 different people.
What do you have to do in your life? You have to call 19 different people.
Tracking down luggage. Have you ever tried to track down luggage?
No, let it go. There's nothing you wanted in there. It was old laundry anyway. What's the problem?
I know, but I have a tile in there that tells me where geographic.
You want the tile back.
I want the tile
That's
back.
all you want. You're like, I actually don't care about the bag. You could just take the tile out and send it back.
There's stuff in it I don't care that much.
Those things are like $12. What am I, a Rockefeller?
Exactly.
Just send it back. It'd be great. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I know you well. Okay, great.
I can always get Toomey luggage. There's 100 places that sell Toomey luggage, but those tiles are hard to get.
Those tiles are hard to get. Yes, we are just the biggest dorks on the planet. I'm with you. I do think the orchestration you're talking about, right, where the AI can now, pardon the expression, expression here, orchestrate other agents to do things is coming.
Yeah.
But right now, you have real agents that can do real things that we can embrace.
By the way, you're tipping something off that we should talk about, which is the fact that we're not looking at a single AI agent.
Yes.
You're going to have a lot of little AI agents that do simple tasks and can interact with each other.
If you think about it sort of at the task level, I think that's the right application for the agent.
Right.
Not one agent that can do all of the things, write the copy and create the image and post things. No, each one of those is like a different little micro worker. And we're getting to the place now where you can ask an AI, hey, I want to achieve X, right? I want to find my luggage.
Right.
And it's getting better at being able to put together the pieces, the other agents that it needs, the activities that it needs to deliver that. I think about the different pieces that they quote know, the agents know. A lot of this comes from how you share your context window with it. And I'm being very careful with the words that I picked there.
What you're willing to share with the AI, yes.
Yeah, what you're willing to give up. I have embraced for quite some time now. I was one of the first users of the Limitless AI PIN, P-I-N, which is really nothing more than a microphone that records everything that I say so that I can pump it through this system.
Sends it to a server somewhere.
Sends it off to a server so then they can get an even better profile of
so
me.
that ICE can really know what you're up to.
Know.
Sure.
So that context window is really important to establish. You don't have to do it with a pin that tracks everything that you say, but you have to give it some context of what you're doing. The more specifics you can give it, the better the answer you're going to get. And you were touching on this, Jeff. In the wrong hands, that context is not good. But for you personally, that context is amazing because you have this, what we describe as the infinite context window. To have everything that you've said or done in a queryable state, to me, is sort of the holy grail. Where it lives, who has access to it, those are some real nuanced details that are important.
Sure.
And once you've established some portion of that context, now those agents can have virtually instant access to it. I mean, access that is measured typically in milliseconds, maybe single-digit seconds.
Yeah.
But these are things that might take you tens of hours to do.
Right.
You're looking it up, maybe you wrote it down somewhere. Like, it just has all of that. That's pretty impressive. So you have the memory, you have sort of the ability to drive into that memory, you've got the ability to sort of plan and, more importantly, adjust that plan when steps don't work.
Sure.
I still think we're not as far along there as we'd like to see. That was your point earlier on sort of the orchestration and not being able to figure out how to find my luggage, but it's getting better. And then being able to interface with the tools that you and I use as humans.
This is the big one,
right,
the interface.
Yeah. Like you gave the example earlier, I know we kind of gloss over it, but I really do think is one of the building blocks of like putting something on your calendar or sending an email or, text message, whatever the thing
That's
is.
fairly easy because the AI I'm asking to put items on my calendar is made by the same company that makes my calendar.
Yeah.
So those things talk hand in glove all the time. An email, same thing. Those things work great. It's when I want to have it talk to my bank and my bank has no association with the company that owns my AI. Then it's a completely different issue. And
for sure,
what I think needs to happen is obviously there are human interfaces for me to deal with my bank. I need like the ultimate skeleton key. I need the agents to be able to see and click screens just like humans can.
Sure.
So that they can do things with my banking.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I could see a world where that's the implementation. I could also see a world where it does these things, in the shadows of the silicone, but presents you, the human, with a like, here's what I've analyzed, here's what I'm going to do. You now have to confirm this. Like, it shows you the action plan.
Well, that's true, but I'm not worried about that so much as I'm worried about the bank saying, no, we don't want AI.
I understand.
Coming and communicating with us, and therefore the only way it can get in is through that web interface.
I'm probably overly optimistic on this, but it seems like there's going to be two groups of businesses out there, ones that embrace this and continue on, and ones that don't and go away. To me, the real problem technologically is the engine, the agents have outpaced by several orders of magnitude the interfaces.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of motivation to build those interfaces right now if you could also build the engine. Meaning, if you're a frontier lab, go build the engine. That's where all of the money and interest is. And that's where you're making these huge game-changing steps. You sort of need, I hate saying it this way, but you almost need like the B team to come along behind it and be like, oh, we're building the interfaces, because they're just not as interesting if you can build the core frontier model.
Sure.
And I do think that's happening, right? You're seeing things now, like Anthropic released MCP a couple of years ago. This is the Model Context Protocol, which is not what you're describing, but is a big step in that direction, trying to get some sort of agreed upon, quote unquote, standard.
That's the problem, is how do you get sign off? How do you get companies to agree to do this? Especially companies who want you to come to their app and do your things through their app, so they have your data and they have your experience and all of that in hand.
And I've seen some encouraging changes in this. Let me explain. Think about like Wi-Fi standards. Those take years to be presented and ratified.
Sure.
Right. And that's something as, quote, innocuous as a Wi-Fi standard. It's really not innocuous. Like, the things that they do, the problems that they solve,
pretty cool, yeah,
are pretty incredible. But it's on this time scale. It takes a long time, right? Like, even from final draft to ratification can be 18 months or more.
Yeah.
So now you're in an AI world where, like, 18 months ago, the AI thing you're trying to interface to didn't exist.
But nobody has incentive to stop the next version of Wi-Fi from coming out. Think about all the companies who want you to use their app and not bypass their app.
Of course.
They have strong incentive to keep this from happening.
Yeah. Those folks are likely not going to be very participatory in finding the standard. And they're also not going to be very participatory in implementing the standard once it's made.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a choice. They're betting on this not working at all.
Right. Once there's somebody who does it.
Exactly. Right now you're just being sand in the cogs. And we've seen this time and time again. I agree with you. The tooling is relatively straightforward, but if you didn't have it, you would have way less value in what the things can do now. So I'm glad that the tooling is coming along and the folks that are participating with it are participating with it.
Yeah. Let's move on to the second section here. We kind of are in it anyway, which is the economic tug-of-war.
Yeah.
The people who are looking forward to this and who are, Microsoft has clearly moved whole hog into AI and using AI in your workflow.
Yeah.
And there are others who are just absolutely doing everything they can to slow this down.
You know, it's interesting when I talk to folks that I will say are technologists, maybe not leaning hard into the AI world, or maybe even ones that are starting to lean into it. They like to throw Microsoft under the bus of like, oh, Copilot, it's not great. And I'm like, you're taking the wrong view. If your view is you've never used AI before and you are a Microsoft Word, a Microsoft Excel user, when you get Copilot turned on, it's like you just unlocked your superpower. It doesn't mean there's not better ones out there, but my point is augmenting the existing workflows that people have is a hard thing to do.
Sure.
I think Copilot does a pretty good job of that.
I think the more interesting models are like Cursor, where you can pick what the AI backend is that you want.
Yeah, for sure.
That's way more interesting to me.
Of course. And as a nerd, a fellow nerd, I agree with you on that. But I'm thinking about the non-nerds, right? The folks, the trope is the jobs that are going to get eaten by AI, right? The people whose job is, quote, going to get eaten. Mm-hmm. They're going to would be more likely, I think, to onboard with Copilot. Maybe they grow into well, you know what? I prefer a Claude over Copilot.
Sure.
At some point. But right now, they're not on the tip of the spear trying to figure out how to augment their workflow with Claude or...
There's subtle distinctions between those backends that you eventually get very passionate about, but you certainly don't start out passionate about it.
If Copilot is the gateway drug to get folks onto agentic style thinking, great. I'm all for it. I think that's lovely.
Yeah.
And think about a world where right now, if Microsoft didn't do any of this, they're just like, nope, we make word processors and spreadsheets. And you'd be like, you would not be $1 trillion company right now.
Oh, sure.
You'd be headed in the wrong direction.
We sell copies of Windows. Well, no, you really don't.
Yeah, you
That's
don't
not
anymore.
your business anymore.
Yeah, you sure don't. We've talked about this part before on the show, thinking about the economics of this. Most businesses, I mean, I'd say damn near all of them, they unfortunately value the work output that people produce based on the time spent to do it, which I've always said for 20 years.
That's going away.
I've said it's a terrible metric.
Yeah.
That is not the right metric. I'm not going to claim I know what the right metric is in all industries, but like it's not time in, it's really work output. You got to think about how you define work output.
Completing the task.
Yeah. With AI, oh no, like that all goes away. The job I would normally give to the intern or the junior hire, it's like relatively unskilled and you go do some research or whatever, and it would take them 30 hours and they produce a 6-page PDF and it'd cost me, whatever, I pay them $40 an hour. So it would cost me.
Now done in 12 seconds?
Yeah. For like 10 cents.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, wait a minute. Like that junior role now, I don't need it.
And it's good.
And it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's not good. It's better than what I would have got by paying the junior.
Sure.
The junior isn't up to that skill set yet. Like that whole stripe just goes away, like on the org chart. You just don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, oh, this is terrible. And I'm like, no, this is actually great. This is advancement. Now we got to figure out how do you get into that stream, because I have an unfair advantage of 25 or 30 years of experience and they don't.
Right.
So they need to get their experience amount. They're going to, right? They're not all going to just play Fortnite and sit at home. They're going to get that experience. We just got to figure out how.
I'm actually a lot less worried about the next generation than I am about the past generation, about people in my generation.
You and I are aligned 100%.
The people in my child's level seem to have a much more intuitive grasp of all this. And they got there before I did.
Yeah.
My kid was programming using AI long before I got. He's way ahead of me on it. So the next generation worries me less than the transition generation, the generation where we used to do this by hand and now there's nothing by hand here to do.
Totally. We've mentioned this before on the show too. This is sort of in the economics of this.
Yeah.
I am now completely come around to the idea that the current pricing model that we have for, I'll just call it, technology, software, whatever.
Yeah.
The service-based model is dead.
Gone. It's over.
The software service is over.
100%.
And what's really fascinating to me is it's going to be outcome driven. Like you're going to pay for the outcomes, which is brilliant. Like I think that's amazing for businesses. This is like the shift we saw from selling ads on eyeballs, right? Which was the paper model. Like I print a newspaper and I have distribution and it goes to 300,000 people. I'm going to charge you for the ad based on the number of newspapers that I sell. That was the model. When we started the internet, we did the same thing. 100,000 people see it. It's what advertisers knew. But pretty quickly, a handful of folks, of which I was one, said, no, how about we do it a little differently? How about we say, no, we're going to sell for people that actually respond to the ad, right? And do something with the ad. And that was a big shift. Now we take it for granted now, right? Now you pay for clicks, you pay for acquisitions now. That's just sort of the way that it works. And I see the same thing happening to these I don't know how you're going to use the CRM, so you just pay for it per seat per month. Over. Absolutely over.
Yeah, of course.
What's the new metric? How can you describe exactly the outcome? I have no idea, but I know that it's coming, and it's going to be probably on a per business or per product basis, and it's going to make a lot of sense for the customers. I think it's a great thing.
Go back to what you're talking about advertising for just 1 second there.
Sure.
Because companies like Meta and TikTok are just really slowing down every piece of progress because they want eyeballs for their ads.
That's their model. What do they do?
The future of advertising is what I want to talk about here. The future of advertising is AI can make a custom ad that is designed just for you. And because on your TV as you're watching your Netflix, we know, oh, this is CJ watching this show. We can now cater not just the product we're selling to CJ, but how we sell it to him.
I mean,
what kinds of things does CJ find entertaining? Let's make our ad for these Milwaukee tools so that it really appeals to CJ uniquely just to that one person.
20 years ago, we called that performance-based advertising, right? We would say, let's show ads to Jeff that he responds to. And we look at the other ads that you've responded to and we say, well, we think you're likely to do this. And that made the advertising world better. It was one of the few things I think that made it better for the consumer.
I think advertising is going to get more entertaining, not less entertaining. It's going to get more engaging, not less.
I think it might become part of the effing entertainment. I don't want to say an infinite, but man, it feels like an almost infinite amount of places this could work. You could even see something where the ad placement inside the content is custom to you.
It'll get more and more bespoke.
And if you want to sell me shoes and you've got some set of data that says, oh, we think you're really going to like these Adidas shoes. Now, instead of me seeing a 30-second advert that I'm going to go pop popcorn while that's playing, instead, the main character in the show is wearing the Adidas you want to sell me.
The shoes you were looking at online.
Whoa, that's actually, I think, pretty cool. It's a little creepy, but I think it's pretty cool. I guess if I zoom out a little bit, the ad world has to change.
Oh, yeah.
Right? As it's constantly done, it has to change.
I'm amazed that the ad world hasn't changed more yet. Especially with streaming video.
Entrenched.
It's amazing if you see ads on streaming video, or how come those aren't talking to your Amazon or your Google experiences and saying, I know Jeff wants to buy a new pool cleaner. Why don't I put an ad up on his Netflix show that shows him these new pool cleaners?
That particular example you gave, I think the primary answer there is walled gardens, because now you need Amazon and Netflix to play well together. But that doesn't answer the question of why don't you see that?
That's just a matter of writing a check.
But that doesn't answer the question of why you don't see those ads on Prime, because then there is no walled gardens, the same.
Right.
Yeah, that's convenience factor though. I think there's more interesting stuff here, and this is what we're starting to get into, I think, around how humans interface. I'm thinking especially for work product. I don't think anyone is worried about your TV getting smarter and that ruining their career.
No, sure.
But getting back to the work and how is this going to affect what I'm doing, I think that's interesting. And I think you were calling that earlier the human OS, the human operating model.
That's our third section, by the way. Let's move on to the third section, the new human operating model.
New humans? We're building new humans?
Where do you fit into this new agentic AI world?
Well, I'm at the bottom of the pole. I'm just at the very bottom, doing my best to not get pushed underground.
Let's talk about to move forward in the world in careers. You really need to be a manager, a team leader.
I think that's the answer.
Even though your team is all robotic.
Doesn't matter.
Your team is all agentic AI.
It doesn't.
Right. You still have to know how to manage them. How do I get them to book the airline tickets for the conference that I need to go to, book me a hotel, give me all that information, and if there's something I have to make changes or whatever, how do I oversee it so that it's not using my credit card to spend money on things that I don't need or want? How do you make all that stuff work? How do you manage that workflow?
I mean, this is where I think you still have to treat that AI like a tool, but it's more than that. You want to interface with it like a person, but you have to remember that its execution is going to be very narrow, right? More tool focused. At the end of the day, it's really not either of those. It's right in between. It's on the seam in between those two things.
I want it to be able to do 3 or 4 steps, though. I don't want it to check back with me and just every single time I have to tell it what the next step is.
And we might not quite be there yet.
That's my find my luggage example.
But I think we're very close. Well, the find your luggage example.
That's so many steps, and I don't want to know about any of the details of it. Just get my luggage to me.
I don't think we're there yet, because you're orchestrating a lot of things that are out of band from each other.
Yeah.
Multi-step within the same narrow domain, we're there. That we can do now. It's when you get into multi-domain and you've got these multiple domains you want it to be expert. And I'm like, I'm not saying we're not going to get there. I really believe we're going to get there sooner than you and I are probably willing to give credit to, but it's just not there yet. I'm just going back to sort of how does the human operate? You want to think of this thing as, in my opinion, a narrow tool, but you still can interact with it like it's a person sitting in the cube next to you.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple different ways to describe this. One of my favorite is you think about it as a coworker, but it's a coworker with some additional interesting facets. It never gets tired, right? Never needs a break, never needs to take a nap.
Yeah, sure.
It will occasionally lie with complete confidence. Like,
yes.
Don't just, but that's important.
That's true.
If you think about the coworker paradigm, you think, well, I've worked with this person now for 6 months. They're not going to lie.
Yeah, and mostly they're telling me the truth. I haven't found anything they've said to be faulty, but that's not the case. Yeah.
The AI gives 0.0 Fs about that.
You can never let your guard down.
Every interaction is a new interaction.
Right.
It's like playing roulette. Everyone is an independent outcome. It doesn't matter that blacks come up 5 times in a row. It could just as easily be red the next roll or black.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
For sure.
And then I think another challenge that we make that we've got to sort of fix in this operating model is when you have a coworker that is decent, which I know is a big if.
Yes.
You typically can be more vague with your instructions. You can be a little more abstract because they already have the knowledge and you know they have the knowledge.
Looser.
Yeah.
Right.
I do not think you can make that presumption yet. I think we'll get there as you get a bigger context window. But right now, the more specific you are, the better outcome you're going to get. So you really want to be specific. I think that's on the input side. Those 3 things are the most important. And then this should just be obvious because you've already said it now 3 or 4 times. Please check the output. Like, please make sure that what comes out.
Oh, you're saying to the humans, check the output. This is the human.
For
sure.
Don't just take the output and
before you book the plane tickets, give me all the information about them and let me know everything about them so that I can okay what you're doing before you spend money.
And I feel like that point, and I might be stretching a little bit here, but I want to get your thoughts on this. I feel like that point makes the case for, at least for the short term, maybe medium term, generalists are going to be able to do better because a generalist can look at these outputs and be like, that passes the muster. I think that's okay. Mm-hmm. If you are a very narrow specialist and you just treat what comes out of the AI as like, well, this must be right. The AI did it. I don't know anything about it. It's smarter than me. Great.
Well, that's not a specialist if you're deferring superior knowledge.
But for something that you're not a specialist in, right? If you're already a specialist in one bit of knowledge and you're trying to do other things because you've got a team now, it's like, oh man, you've got to get at least a medium level of knowledge in that space so that you can do the sniff test when it comes out. I don't want to blow up this conversation here. I feel like we do a whole show on generalists versus specialists in the AI world. But the only point I want to make is you really need to understand the output and make sure that it passes some smell test. And I feel like this is one of the bigger gaps that most people just don't do. They just take the output and like, oh, I'm done. Here you go.
Right.
I'm like, did you even read this?
Your AI can book you on a private plane that goes around the world 3 times so that you can go from Los Angeles to San Francisco.
Yeah. But in the prompt, you said make it fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, I was just thinking up front in Southwest, not on JSX world trip. What are you doing?
You are still going to have to oversee. You are still going to have to manage. That part's not going away.
At some point, maybe in the near term, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of fascinating in a good and a bad way. The good way is I see an explosion in work output.
Of course.
In the human operating model, if I think about work output from the human operator, I see an explosion in what they can do.
By the way, does this mean we need fewer workers?
That's
no,
what
it just means we get to do more stuff.
Well, okay, that's what I'm getting to. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say there could be a 1, maybe even 2 orders of magnitude in output that we're going to see in the next couple of years from a single human. Yeah. But I think 1 order of magnitude is pretty much a given. Like, you're going to be in 5 to 10x, no problem. Okay, you just hit I think the real question on the head. What do we want to do with that? Do you want less workers? Do you want more work output?
No, I want a funner world. I want a better world.
Right? Also, what does the world look like if you go, well, okay, if we actually could measure our work output and we knew that with our 100-person company, this is how much work output we got every month. Now with AI, we can do 10x that with the same sort of time input and the same cost structure. Or,
well, we have to find out if 10x the output or 100x the output, because more likely it's going to be, 1000x the output. Is that something that is useful for our market?
Yeah, of course.
Or are we better doing different things with that effort?
Yeah, let's make an assumption that the output is linear, just for the sake of this argument. Because then I go, well, what would be kind of interesting? Maybe if instead of us just trying to grind ourselves down to the bone until we hit some magic age when we then all say we're retired, what if we just did a little less with our time for quote work and a little more with our time time for something else, like reading or art.
I've heard this my whole life.
I know. It never happens. It never happens.
It never comes true. We just want to do more. We just want to make everyone's quality of life, or at least our quality of life, better.
I still think that is, we see a lot of that here. It's a very American sort of ideology. If you go talk to folks, that are in Spain, that are Spanish, they're like, I'm taking 90 minutes off after lunch because it's what I do.
Yeah.
They don't work any less hard. It's part of their culture.
You're talking about taking a siesta in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You're coming back with a stronger brain than I'm coming back with after I have lunch for 60 minutes and I come back.
Yes, exactly. It's effective. And I've had this argument many times with folks where they're just like, oh, you're taking a nap. And I'm like, do you know how much better I operate after a nap?
Yeah.
Like, you'd rather have me just pounding coffee to try to, that's idiotic. I'm with you. I think it's a little grandiose to assume that we're all now magically going to get a 20-hour work week.
You're not getting a 20-hour work week. You're getting a 40-hour work week because that's the maximum amount we can make you do. It's our socially acceptable limit. So the only reason you're stopping, the only reason your work week's not getting more is because we have the social construct.
Yeah.
Now when you have AI, we just want more output. We just want a better world.
We've sort of talked, I've talked a little bit about how I think about these coworkers, and I think it's important to remember that empirical experience, right? It's one of my favorite quotes in the world, which is that good judgment comes from experience comes from bad judgment. You don't have that, at least not yet, in our agents.
In this new coworker.
It's not there, right? It lacks that lived experience and the true intuition, the gut feeling that you have. Whether or not you listen to it or not consciously, it doesn't have that. And while maybe, and I'm going to put an underscore on maybe, these agents can simulate empathy, it really can't feel the stake of the project. It doesn't own the project.
Right, it has nothing at stake.
Yes. So at the end of the day, you can make your agent accountable to do something. You can be like, I want you to go, do some research on blah, 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 or book a flight.
Right.
But the responsibility still lives with you.
Yeah.
I think that's really important and gets missed on these things.
Right. No, the problem isn't with the tools. The problem is with the people managing the tools.
Yeah, exactly.
The user.
So anyway, that's my sort of big takeaway from this.
And a fine takeaway it is. All right, we have to get out of here, but quickly before we do, have you seen or read anything good this last week?
Well, yeah, if today's episode hasn't sufficiently freaked you out about the future of work, I would recommend that folks read Co-Intelligence, Living and Working with AI by Ethan Mollick.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not all the way through it, but I think it's a very interesting book. So this book was written in 2024, mind you, so it's ancient by AI standards.
Sure.
But even now, most people are still using AI sort of like a supercharged Google search bar, right? That has like a mild personality disorder.
Sure.
And Mollick explains why you should be treating it like and I think this is his quote is like a brilliant but socially awkward intern.
Yeah.
Which I think is really the right way to think of it. He introduced the idea of the jagged frontier, where an AI can solve a complex coding problem in seconds, but might fail at a third grade word puzzle.
Sure.
Which is something that if you had a really good software engineer, you'd expect them to be able to do both. But in this world, that's not the case. So you have to change your expectations. The point that he makes is that if you want to actually survive the shift from doing the work to directing the work, and I'd argue if you want to thrive in this new world, I think his book is the closest thing to a manual, at least that I've come across yet. It's practical. It is slightly terrifying. Let me just underscore that again. But I think it'll make you the smartest person in the room for your next AI note-taker driven sync meeting that you have on Zoom next week.
Ooh, so can I not go? Can I send my AI?
Yeah, I know you're not going. I don't even know. We have an old school puppet there for you. It's great.
Perfect.
Co-Intelligence, Living and Working with AI, available on all the usual suspects, Amazon, Audible, and on Libby. It's on Libby with your public library.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, how about you?
I'm going to go with the 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey, because nobody understood AI better than the people in 1968. Man's first tool was a bone. His last will be an agent. 2001: A Space Odyssey is the ultimate cinematic trip through human evolution, sparked by mysterious alien monoliths. It begins with prehistoric apes discovering violence via tools and leaps to the future where tools have become sentient. Aboard Discovery 1, the mission to Jupiter turns into a cold-blooded chess match against HAL 9000.
Yeah.
An unbeatable AI that prioritizes the mission over human life. But after a terrifying battle of wits, Dave Bowman disconnects HAL's brain and plunges into a psychedelic stargate. He transcends time, space, and biology, reborn as the Star Child. Kubrick's masterpiece isn't just a movie, it's a haunting prophecy about the moment our creations stop being assistants and start becoming our replacements. If you haven't seen it, check out 2001: A Space Odyssey on HBO's Max right now.
It has been a hot minute since I've seen this film, but I definitely need to go watch. Oh, it's a fantastic film. And so many great lines. And also, I know you're throwing a little bit of shade about 1968 being the prophecy of AI, but it kind of got it right so far. You kind of look at it, you're like,
yeah, I don't see the AI being our replacement.
It's a human talking interface.
I don't see the AI even trying to be our replacement.
No, but I could.
Hal is quite sinister. Hal has his own agenda to the degree that he cares about the outcome of something. I don't think AI really will ever care about the outcome of something. It just wants to do what you tell it to do.
You haven't used Grok, have you?
No. I do my best to stay away from Twitter as much as I can.
I mean, I feel like the best analog we have in modern day for HAL 9000 is Grok in spicy mode, where it's just like, nope, we're going to Jupiter. And you're like, we're all going to die. He's like, don't care.
Not my problem.
Like, when we get there, he's like, I'll figure it out. Like, I have infinite resource. I don't need you. You are just a source of heat.
Open the pod door, Hal. Not going to do it.
By the way, I mean, that's what I'm really saying, is that it's prophetic in that way. When I ask Siri, to turn on the light, and it's like, I'm sorry, there are no lights. I'm like, I literally just set up a light. Just turn on the light. And it's like, I can't do that. Space Odyssey, yes, I definitely am going to check. I'm going to put that on the big screen in the next couple of days and watch it.
Occasionally in various parts of the world, there will be screenings of this. And if you can see it on the screen, it's even more fun.
Yeah, Tarantino's theater.
Yeah.
I've never seen it in the theater. I would love to see it in the theater.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That'd be crazy.
That is the episode.
Thank you for joining us for all this nonsense. A truly terrible podcast from The Awful Company. This is on the web at nonsense.productions. I'm CJ Little.
I'm Jeff Parker.
If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and like at Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, AntennaPod, iHeartRadio, Spotify, my favorite Overcast, wherever you may get your podcast from.
Nonsense Studios are automated by Home Assistant, open source home automation that puts local control and privacy first and is powered by a worldwide community of tinkerers and DIY enthusiasts. Forget Alexa, HomeKit, SmartThings, and Google Assistant. Those are children's toys compared to Home Assistant.
We'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday morning for more nonsense. Please join us.
My biggest frustration with AI right now is that it's just not coming along fast enough. You can see where the future is going.
I just love that you say that.
And oh man, I cannot wait to get farther forward.
Yeah, my biggest frustration is I don't have enough memory to store the larger LLM model in my fleshlight.
And that's when they shut the podcast down.